going on, everybody? Joseph Hadid here for Worldwide Sport Updates, your podcast, your news, your local community. Good morning, sports family. Thank you for joining us on this Friday, January 13th, 2023. Another week in the books, ladies and gentlemen. As the work week closes out, get ready for this upcoming weekend. It is TGIF, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. This is Worldwide Sport Updates, your podcast, your sports, your news, your local community. Your host, Joseph Hadid here. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on our YouTube channel, Recorded Podcast. Again, called Worldwide Sport Updates. Ladies and gentlemen, when you search us for all the latest sports updates that you have missed throughout the week, this is what our podcast is all about. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let's recap the long week that transpired. Let's get right to it. We're going to start off, ladies and gentlemen, with the San Antonio Spurs. Ladies and gentlemen, so the question is looming, ladies and gentlemen, how are the terrible Spurs are improbably going to break the NBA's single game attendance record? So how are the terrible Spurs, ladies and gentlemen, how are they improbably going to break the NBA single game record? A lot of people are wondering, and it's an attendance record nonetheless. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the San Antonio Spurs, who are 13-29 and next to last in the Western Conference as of publishing this post, are about to set an NBA record. Not in a bad way, actually in the best way. They're about to smash the record for single game attendance. So how does a tanking team that bad do that? It's partially, ladies and gentlemen, because the Spurs won't be playing at the AT&T Center. They're playing this one in the Alamo Dome, where they played in much of the 1990s and some of the early 2000s. And the Alamo Dome could hold 64,000 people. Next question, why? Why there? It's part of the franchise's 50th anniversary. So the game against the Golden State Warriors carries even more meaning. So there's been a push to break the NBA's regular season record, set in 1998 when the Atlanta Hawks hosted Michael Jordan's Chicago Bulls in the Georgia Dome, and 62,046 fans showed up. So talk about some history there, ladies and gentlemen. So with that being said, the San Antonio Spurs, I believe I think it happens today, that game against the Golden State Warriors. Let's double check on that. Yeah, it's later tonight, folks. So the 13-29 San Antonio Spurs will be taking on the 20-21 Golden State Warriors later on tonight, as the ball tip-off will be at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, ladies and gentlemen. And again, they are 14th in the Western Conference. They're at the bottom of the barrel as we speak, and they'll be taking on Stephen Curry, Jordan Poole, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, and it's gonna be a heck of a crowd later on tonight at the Alamo Dome. So again, San Antonio Spurs are gonna make some noise later on this evening. That should be a fun, interesting game nonetheless. So tune into that one, ladies and gentlemen. It's at 7:30 p.m. Ball tip-off time, as we say in basketball terms. All right, let's switch over to some NFL news, ladies and gentlemen, as we gear up for the NFL playoffs this upcoming weekend. Yes, are you guys ready for this NFL playoffs, ladies and gentlemen? Now, the only two teams that have a bye week this week are the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles, who both carry the best records in their respective conference at 14-3. But we're going to shift our little focus on the wild card weekend. And speaking of wild card weekend, ladies and gentlemen, Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson tweets an injury update on his sprained knee. He said, in his quotes, he can't give his 100% to himself, to especially who is he surrounded with, his teammates. Nonetheless, that's why he quoted this past week. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, Lamar Jackson has been ruled out for this upcoming weekend's game against the Cincinnati Bengals. Lamar Jackson took it upon himself Thursday to shed some light on his knee injury. The Ravens quarterback addressed the lingering questions over his injured knee, which appears likely to keep him out of Sunday's Super Wildcard Weekend matchup against the Bengals, as we just spoke. Jackson tweeted that the PCL injury he suffered in Week 13 against the Broncos is a Grade 2 sprain on the borderline of a Grade 3 sprain. He also has inflammation around the knee, and it appears unstable. Jackson added, Jackson hasn't practiced since suffering that injury. He remains hopeful for a return, but the lack of clarity in his tweets suggests that no one really knows if that will happen this postseason. In his quotes, ladies and gentlemen, he says, I'm still in good spirits as I continue with the treatments on the road to recovery. Jackson tweeted, I wish I could be out there with my guys more than anything, but I can't give 100% of myself to my guys that I'm surrounded with and the fans. I'm still hopeful we still have a chance to advance past the first round, which meaning he's hoping that the Ravens and the backup quarterback Hundley, they get past the Cincinnati Bengals and they move on to the divisional round, which will be next weekend. So we'll see what the outcome of that game will be, but many people and the sportsbook, the betting sportsbook department are really favoring the Bengals, and the Baltimore Ravens are the underdogs. But again, the question always looms, ladies and gentlemen, does the underdog prevail? What are the odds? All right. Let's move over to some NHL news, ladies and gentlemen. The Canadiens Price talks expansion draft exposure. NHL's player assistance program. When the Montreal Canadiens took the chance of exposing Carey Price in the 2021 NHL expansion draft, he didn't expect the Seattle Kraken to take him. Price had 5 years left on his contract with a $10.5 million cap hit. So, when former Canadiens general manager Mark Bergevin came to Price to waive his no movement clause, there wasn't much pushback. I talked to Bergevin about it, and I had a feeling they wouldn't pick me up because of my contract and the stage of my career. Price told in his quotes, told former teammates Guillaume Altudrez and Maxime Lepere on La Poche Bleu podcast. I felt like we could do a solid here if we exposed me, because I really doubt that it was going to happen. So I felt like it was a tactical move to be able to protect another player, in his quotes. On top of being owed $13 million in salary for the upcoming season, including an $11 million signing bonus, Price would retain his non-movement clause. Ladies and gentlemen, he would retain his non-movement clause if he was claimed by the Seattle Kraken. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, folks, there's another thing we need to shift over now, and we need to talk about Major League Baseball. So, ladies and gentlemen, you all may recall that Carlos Correa has now went back to the Minnesota Twins on a 6-year contract. Yeah, this past week, after everything blew pretty much out of proportion for the New York Mets to make that deal official and have Carlos Correa be a part of the Mets organization. Well, that fell through, ladies and gentlemen. So, before Correa, ladies and gentlemen, there was 12 blockbuster deals that almost happened. All right, let's move over to Major League Baseball news, ladies and gentlemen. So with that being said, Roberto Clemente almost signed with the Giants in 1954. The Yankees almost traded Don Mentegli to the Giants for Will Clark back in 1988. The Yankees almost traded Ricky Henderson to the Giants back in the year 1989. The Pirates almost traded Barry Bonds to the Braves in the year 1992. Barry Bonds almost signed with the New York Yankees back in the year 1992. Greg Maddux almost signed with the New York Yankees back in the year 1992 as well. The Yankees almost traded Mariano Rivera to the Mariners for Felix Fermin back in the year 1996. The Expos almost traded Pedro Martinez to Cleveland for Bartolo Colon, Jarrett Wright, and prospects in the year 1997. The Mariners almost traded Ken Griffey Jr. to the Mets in the year 1999. The Rangers almost traded Alex Rodriguez to the Red Sox for Manny Ramirez and John Lester back in the year 2004. The Marlins almost traded Miguel Cabrera to the Angels back in the year 2007. The Royals almost traded Zach Greinke to the Nationals back in the year 2010. And ladies and gentlemen, all these trades were not successful as they fell through. And same for Carlos Correa, ladies and gentlemen, as, man, he was going from places to places, folks. I mean, the Giants were in contact with Carlos Correa. The Mets were in contact with Carlos Correa. And ladies and gentlemen, he passed his physical this past week, and he went back to the Minnesota Twins on a 6-year contract. So a lot really was the talk on Carlos Correa's contract, ladies and gentlemen. Again, it really did fizzle out. It did. It did fizzle out with the Mets, ladies and gentlemen. It really did fizzle out and did not work to where, to making it officially an official deal. Again, with that contract, ladies and gentlemen, Carlos Correa signed that 6-year, 200, 1,000. Well, actually, is it 200,000 or is it 2 million? I think it's probably $2 million contract with the Minnesota Twins, including a $2 million guaranteed, with an annual average salary of $33 million. I think, possibly $33 million. I think that's what it is. But yeah, it's a $200 million contract, folks. It is a and then he left the Mets behind, and he's back with the Minnesota Twins again. Like I said, folks, it's a 6-year contract worth $200 million, and the past is the past. We move on. You know, not everything is guaranteed, folks. So again, it's a $315 million contract. Folks, again, look at the story for Carlos Correa. On December 21st, the shortstop agreed to a $315 million contract with the New York Mets. And ladies and gentlemen, 3 weeks later, he signed a $200 million deal with the Minnesota Twins on a 6-year contract. So a lot was going all over the place for Carlos Correa nonetheless. But again, we talk about the main topic focus here, that 12 blockbuster deals that I mentioned. They almost happened, but they just weren't there to secure those moves that I mentioned on that list. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, there's a question looming in Major League Baseball. Now, many are asking, what is the longest World Series drought in MLB history? Well, the 2023 season is nearly upon us. Yeah, Major League Baseball training camp is here before you know it. And the season in itself. I mean, we're in January, folks, so think about this. Training camp starts, I believe, next month. And spring training, I believe, in March. And then the regular season starts in April. Again, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, with all 30 teams vying to be crowned the next World Series champions, Last season, again, everybody witnessed and saw the Houston Astros win their second title in franchise history, knocking off the Philadelphia Phillies in 6 games. With the first coming in 2017, of course. Now, after over 70 free agents have been signed, most teams will be confident of their ability to make a deep postseason run. Teams across the league have combined for the most expensive free agency period in history. The league has seen over $3.5 billion spent this offseason, surpassing the previous record set last season. While the Cubs have not reached the postseason since 2020, that is, ladies and gentlemen, nothing compared. Excuse me. It is nothing compared to the dubious record set by the franchise. The Chicago Cubs unfortunately held the honor of holding the longest World Series drought in history. The all-time World Series drought was set by the Cubs, coming to an end in the year 2016, after an impossible 108 years. Prior to their title in 2016, the last time the Chicago Cubs franchise won the title was in 1908, which featured the likes of Hall of Famers Johnny Evers and Frank Chance. Alright, after FIFA Reliance to offer free digital streaming of IPL 2023. After its free live streaming of FIFA World Cup on the Geo Cinema app last year, Reliance is reportedly looking to disrupt the live sports streaming market as it plans to do digital broadcast of the 2023 season of Indian Premier League for free. This development comes after Viacom 18 tested a similar model broadcasting the FIFA World Cup 2022 for free on Reliance's Geo Cinema app. The matches were streamed on the app as well as on TV channels such as Sports 18 and Sports 18 High Definition, making it a hit, which in other terms, it was successful. I think it was something that they were looking for a positive route, a positive direction, which I would like to say. Here is the schedule of Hockey World Cup 2023, which starts today. With that being said, folks, that is all for this week. We'll see you on next Friday's recorded podcast. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, hit the like button, subscribe, share it out, let everybody know what Worldwide Sport Updates is all about. It's all about, ladies and gentlemen, getting all the sports updates right here on our YouTube channel. For everything that you missed throughout the whole week, we're here for you, ladies and gentlemen, on a daily basis. Fridays, recorded podcast. And if necessary, a live podcast, folks, to talk to you about the latest that's happening in your sports world, your sports community, nonetheless, folks. All right. With that being said, have yourself a great weekend, folks. Enjoy the NFL playoffs. Enjoy basketball weekend. Yes, we have some NBA basketball weekend. Enjoy hockey weekend for all the hockey fans out there. Make it count. In other words. All right, sports family, take care. This is Joseph Hadid for Worldwide Sport Updates. Your podcast, your sports, your news, your local community. Stay safe out there, sports family. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.